Yeah, going back to the idea of the painting was I initially I thought, I can't afford to forget all this. I might forget it, and it might. This I want to make sure that I remember everything. And I thought, I'm going to do a painting. I'm going to do something like I'd never done anything like this before. And I wanted to do something like really huge, like a big, like all these sort of Renaissance paintings. Those very dramatic scenes of the Bible that you see. That Michelangelo did, and Raphael and stuff like that. And I wanted to get something like that, and it had to be big to get the story across dramatically enough that it warranted. And so I remember my sister coming in to visit me the first night, and she was chatting, and she said very quietly as she was about to leave, she said, "Is there anything I can get you?" I said, "Yeah, can you get me like a small sketch pad and a pencil?" And she was going, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, really." And so she said, "Okay." So she brought that in, and the nurses propped me up in the bed, and I managed to start sketching what I was going to do in the very first painting, which was trying to sort of get everything into one painting. And I've still got that sketch, but I'm not even going to attempt to show it you now because it's just so faint because I was so weak. But it was just the beginnings of what was going to be, my very first paintings. When I got out of hospital, once I started getting physical strength up enough to be able to start painting, I got that canvas, and it was leaning against the wall for a long time because, I was kind of like, didn't want to mess this up. I wanted to get this right. So I was kept putting it off. Um, but yeah, some friends of my sister was around one day, and then they came in and they said, "Oh, you still got that canvas against the wall?" Then I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I can't paint. I can't start in here. There's not enough light and stuff." And they said, "Well, that's no excuse because they ran a health centre, and they said we're closing for a week for refurbishment, so we've got a studio space going that you can use." So I said, "Great." So they took the canvas down there, and I went in and I started painting. I started the first bits bravely putting the paint on that canvas, and it was amazing because it started to come together so well immediately, and I felt like I was being helped. I felt like this energy was still coming through again from that realm that was helping me to produce something that I'd never produced in my whole life, which was a painting. Yeah, being able to sort of like almost like get flesh tones and be brave with colors rather than just say, okay, this is, before I would have just said, right, this person's flesh is that color. Do you just need one color? I thought, no, just throw in some greens and blues and throw them all in there. And it started to come alive. So I became, you know, I got towards the end of the week and I said, "There's no way I'm going to get this finished." And they said, "That's fine." Then my sister's friend said, "We'll just move you around from studio to studio, and you can stay here." So that was great. And I ended up staying there for 2 years, and they didn't charge me at all. So that was amazing. And I became known as the artist in the attic, because I was up in the lofts, doing all this, putting these paintings together. So
Did you take
people
any
would
art lessons during this time, or you just
no, no, not
taught
at all.
yourself?
The art lessons were coming from within. I used to say I was channeling. I was channeling ideas through, but what I'm realizing now was basically it's more that I was allowing myself to go into a state of presence. Basically, I was completely present when I was doing all this artwork, and it was also helping me to heal from the accident as well. It was a great healing power as well. So I took no lessons at all whatsoever, and I just improved with each painting that I did, and became more and more brave. And
Well, it's cool
not
because
only,
you mastered perspective, depth, and anatomical proportions that are correct, and all that kind of stuff, which people study in art school to get the hang of.
I know, absolutely, that's it. That's what's remarkable. So it's just. I mean, obviously, I became more aware. I would study people myself. I would study how people held themselves. I would study the fact that not everyone has the same body language. That some people have this, that, and the other, and try to sort of like try to. Yeah, people would start to say to me, "Oh, yeah, when you're painting people, that you're kind of like, it's almost like you're getting behind. You're bringing people alive. You're giving people." a sense of presence, and I didn't even realize I was doing that. So it wasn't something I was conscious of, but that's probably why it was coming together for me.